Welcome to the Heal Your Hunger Show, where we get to the heart of why you overeat and how to stop. If you struggle with food and weight like I did, welcome home.
Welcome everybody to the Heal Your Hunger Show. So happy to have you here. It is a great day to be alive. And I'm so excited about today's show because I'm going to get personal. It's true. Can't help myself. But I'm also talking about you. Okay. So you'll probably hear yourself in what I have to say, which is cool, right? That's the point of the show is we want to see ourselves. So I hope that happens today because it means you're one step closer to being free. I am recording this in the Secret Sauce group. If you've not joined the Secret Sauce group, please be sure to do so. You go to Facebook, type in Secret Sauce to End Emotional Eating. That's where I record my shows so that we can continue the conversation after the show, after the recording, and you can get support. Okay, so don't do this alone. Get support. Join us in the Secret Sauce group. You're one step closer to freedom when you get support and you don't try to do it alone. Okay, on with the show. I have a good topic for you today. I think you'll relate to if you have any kind of struggles with food and weight, which typically those are the people who are in this group. So stay tuned. I also want to say if you are here and you struggle with sugar, make sure to join the Quit Sugar Challenge because that's coming up. You can go to quitsugarchallenge.com and be a part of the Quit Sugar Challenge. It's starting soon and it'll be amazing. So it'll be July 12th to the 16th. It's one class a day. Okay. One class a day, 1 hour. And we're gonna support you in quitting sugar, getting it out of your diet, feeling better, reducing inflammation, losing a couple pounds. That always happens for these ladies who join the Quit Sugar Challenge. And hey, sugar is one of the most addictive substances that exist. And guess what? You know, if you've been using it for a long time, it's not going to be something you're going to be able to quit on your own. So join us, get behind it, you know, and behind other ladies who are doing this. It's so much fun. So I want to talk today about me. So, all right. Not just about me. I'm going to share a personal experience, but I'm really talking about feelings. Okay. And emotional eating. I'm talking about emotional eating, you know, and that's what we're here for is to overcome emotional eating. That's what I'm here to support you in. That's my entire life's work is helping people overcome emotional eating. So I want to support you in this by really getting down to what's going on when we're just eating out of boredom, eating out of other emotions that come up. So it's not just boredom, but oftentimes I hear people say, oh, I just eat because I'm bored. So I want to dig into that. Like, is it really boredom? So stay tuned for that. But first I want to talk to you about an experience I've been having this month in June. And it's been super uncomfortable. Okay. So some of you know, if you've been listening, that I have a new boyfriend and it's a really nice relationship. I'm super happy about it. My boyfriend does listen to my podcast. So I'm hoping that he'll miss this one. He's away and I'm hoping it misses him because it's a little embarrassing to be talking about him and for him to hear it. But okay. That's okay. I'm all right if he does. He's super supportive. So anyway, point is, he's been away for this month. Okay. For this month, he's from Europe. He's been in Europe visiting family and friends. And that means, you know, that I've been on my own without this amazing experience of being with him, which means I've been having more feelings and different feelings than I normally have. Feelings of strongly missing somebody and not being able to be with that person. That's some strong feelings for me. So I've been going through this entire month, some really strong feelings. And these are, you know, feelings are what emotional eaters eat over. Okay. So the reason I'm bringing this up is because there was a time in my life when to have such strong feelings of longing and missing and not getting what I want, which is certainly true in this case. I want to be with him. I prefer to be with him and I can't be, limited communication, not being able to express myself in the way that I want to, not having the depth of conversations that I want to have with this person whom I love talking to, without all that, I'm like, I got some feelings. I got some stuff going on. And I, on a daily basis, got to work through this or eat over it. Okay. So in the past, this is something I would eat over. I would totally stuff these feelings. They are very uncomfortable. Okay. Very uncomfortable. We spent a lot of time together before he went away, and I got kind of hooked on him. I loved the time we spent together. It was amazing. Amazing. And all of a sudden it's not there, like, boom, gone. And, you guys know, I've talked about the grief of a past relationship that ended. And that was kind of a similar thing in that, it ended very abruptly. And then this person was out of my life. So I had a lot of grief around that. So this isn't grief by any means, because it's a wonderful relationship that's still evolving, even though we're not together physically. But I've got a lot of feelings, and I've had to really feel those feelings and deal with those feelings in order to stay on top of my game and not overeat. I'm an emotional eater, you guys. I am an emotional eater. I am not cured. Okay. So I might sound like I've got it all together if you listen to my podcast, and it looks like I might have it together, at least in the food department, but weight department for sure. I'm very blessed. I'm grateful that I don't overeat one day at a time, but it doesn't mean I'm cured. Okay. I'm still an emotional eater. And if I don't do the things that I'm teaching my clients to do, and they're doing them and it's working for them, if I don't do those same things I teach, my friends, will overeat. I will overeat. And if I overeat, it will turn ugly fast. That's how my condition of emotional eating ended up, where it wasn't just a little here and there. It devolved very quickly into binges and darkness and self-hatred and lack of energy and lack of clarity and foggy brain and weight gain and just misery. Okay. So the reason why I'm here talking to you at all, the reason why I founded Heal Your Hunger, the reason why I do everything I do here, showing up in the secret sauce group and coaching my clients, creating a whole system for my clients to overcome emotional eating. The whole reason I do this, the number one reason I do this, okay, there are other reasons, but the driver, what gets me out of bed and doing it day after day is that I am an emotional eater and I need to do these things. And because I'm free on account of the things I do on a day at a time, not cured, but free. It's, there's a difference. Because I do these things and they work for me, and I want to share them, this is what drives me. And if I don't keep doing it, I could easily go back to that darkness. And so I'm very aware of that. Anybody who is, if it's hard to understand that around food, think of alcoholism. Do you have somebody in your life who's an alcoholic? Do you have somebody in your life who is completely sickened by alcohol, where that person can't stop drinking? I mean, we all know an alcoholic. Okay. We all know somebody. We've seen the progression. We've seen them just ruin their life with alcoholism and not being able to stop drinking. I mean, I'm sure we all have several examples of that in our life. And if somebody gets help for that, they praise God for one thing, but they're not cured. It's still one day at a time, and that's kind of that 12-step philosophy. And I subscribe to that. So I don't consider myself cured. If I don't keep doing the things I'm doing, hey, I could, what would happen to me, I suspect, is that my mind would turn a little bit negative, a little bit, I wouldn't be as positive. I wouldn't be as happy. I'd start creating troubles, like I'd have resentments and I'd start creating troubles or dissatisfactions in my life. I'd start, just not having the same positive outlook that I have, in which case life wouldn't be as easy or feel as easy. Problems would start to feel hard, and I'd be looking for something to relieve my pain. Okay. So to me, that's what overeating is. It's a way to relieve pain, fear, and guilt as the primary drivers. There's lots of sub feelings under that pain, fear, and guilt. You can parse that out into all kinds of different emotions. But that's what eating was for me, as a way to snuff out uncomfortable emotions in general. So the reason why I'm bringing this all up is because I for sure have had many uncomfortable emotions in this past month, and I've been feeling them. I've been feeling them and living through them. And there lies my secret to freedom. Okay. And I want to share it with you because I want you to experience this freedom too. You know, I talk to my clients all the time about their container of feelings. So if you look closely at the times when you overeat, or the times you feel like driven to eat, driven to the kitchen, driven to the refrigerator, you know, if you look at those times when you eat, when you really don't want to, when you know it's not good for you, when you've already had enough, but you do it anyway. If you take a close look at that, it's really because you don't want to feel what you're feeling. And I want to say that because at first you might be like, she's so full of it. That's not true. But look a little more closely. You don't want to be experiencing what you're experiencing. So you're going to eat to distract. That's what food is. Food is a distraction for us. And I'm talking about food beyond our regular nourishment, the meals that we eat to nourish our bodies, which we must do. Okay. 3 meals a day. I'm all for it. So, but when we eat to distract, what are we distracting ourselves from? We're distracting ourselves from something we don't want to feel. So it always comes down to feelings and not wanting to feel. And the reason why I talked about boredom at the beginning of this of this talk is because many people say, "Oh, I eat out of boredom," but I want you to dig into that if that's you. You know, first of all, we eat out of habit. You know, if you've been eating for a long time, if food has been your number one go-to to deal with life, or just to get you from one thing to the next, of course it's habitual. So you eat out of habit. You know, in order to heal, you're going to have to break that habit. But if you dig a little deeper, it's really eating out of feeling uncomfortable feelings when you're not distracted, when you're not preoccupied with something else. So boredom is basically having, you know, unstructured time where you're not preoccupied with something. So boredom is that space between things that you're doing that preoccupies your time and your attention. Boredom's when we don't have anything going on, when we're not doing anything, which is very difficult for an emotional eater to feel. Okay. Overeaters are overdoers. We do so much in a day. We are doers. You know, if you're in binge self-hatred mode, you might be on the couch for weeks. Okay. I get that you're not doing anything. I've been there. Okay. I've been depressed. I've been self-hating. I've been in binge mode where I just didn't want to do anything. I was hiding out. Okay. So there's that. But besides that, typically from day to day, overeaters are overdoers, and we're doing rings around other people. We're packing our schedule with like a jillion things to do, places to go, people to see, projects to complete, conversations to have. We're very busy people. And, you know, that's good. That's good. That's, you know, we're productive. We get a lot done. People think we're fabulous, which is oftentimes why we do so much, by the way, because we're people pleasers and we want people to be impressed with us. Okay. People pleasing is the number one trait of the anatomy of the emotional eater, in my experience and research. So we do a lot. And when we're not doing, it's uncomfortable. Okay. And the reason why we do often isn't just people pleasing. It's because we don't want to feel. We don't like those dead spaces where we're not doing things. Am I right or am I right? By the way, you're welcome to put some amens in the chat here. Okay. In the secret sauce group, please. If you're tracking with me, if any of this is ringing true, please say so in the chat. I'd love that. And let's keep the conversation going. But the bottom line, boredom is, boredom's a word. Okay. It's a word, and it's easy to say I eat because I'm bored, but I want you to dig into it and see that you eat because you're not comfortable with not being busy. You're not comfortable with downtime. You're not comfortable with feelings. Feelings come up when we're not constantly doing. That's why we do. And I have clients over and over who are like, I'm afraid to slow down, because I'm going to tell people to slow down. Like, you want to overcome emotional eating, you're going to have to change your pace. You cannot go at breakneck speed and expect to not overeat, because a lot of our eating is stress eating. We create all the stress and then we just eat to try to quell the stress, to settle ourselves down. So if you expect to not overeat, you better find new ways to settle down. And that starts with not packing your schedule with so much to do, not being afraid of downtime, not being afraid of that quiet and stillness. So what you may call boredom, in my experience, is really quiet that's uncomfortable to be with. And I want to invite you to start exploring quiet time. Start exploring not having such a packed schedule. I love the adrenaline rush of busy, busy, busy. Okay. So I'm, don't get me wrong. I am you. I know what it's like to be so busy and going from one thing to the next. And this person needs me and I have to make that phone call and I got to do this project. And also just the drama of overwhelm. Like, oh, I have so much to do and I'm so busy, and, everybody just puts upon me and my life is just hard. Okay. I know about that narrative too. Feeling self-pitying and feeling like, oh, I just have so much to do. Like, nobody's as busy as me. I get it. But we all create our busy, and we make room for our busy. So if you want to have less stress in your life, if you want to have a more balanced relationship with food, you're going to have to look at that busy and what's really driving that busy, and realize that what might be boredom at first is actually just very uncomfortable with not being busy, very uncomfortable with the feelings that are underneath busyness, and making peace with that. So healing, in my experience, requires that we expand the container of our feelings, of what we're able to feel, what feelings we're able to metabolize, pardon the pun. Okay, we must metabolize a greater number of feelings in order to have freedom from food obsession, and overeating and emotional eating. Now, this doesn't happen overnight. We, again, habitually have stuffed our feelings, all feelings. And I believe I made a decision at a very young age to not feel. In my experience of life, feeling was hard and uncomfortable, and I didn't know how to do it. And I certainly didn't have good examples of doing it. My whole family were runners. Like, we all ran from ourselves. So I didn't have good modeling. I mean, I say that, and yet my dad was super into quiet time, and he took a nap on the weekends when he was on vacation, and or maybe on the weekends period, on Saturdays, he would take a nap, which is really cool, actually. So he'd always take a nap. He had to be very quiet. But he liked to sit and read, listen to classical music. So I should say that he was actually pretty good at having some downtime. But he wasn't good at feeling. Okay, so he might have read his book or the paper and listened to music, but he wasn't good with feeling, or I certainly didn't see him doing a whole lot of that. So, and it's not to blame. That's just the way it was. It's partly our culture, as well. So I think as a culture, we're addicted to busyness, and not feeling. But anyway, point is, I didn't know how to do it. And so I made the decision not to do it. So at a young age, feeling was not comfortable for me. I didn't like the feelings that I had, they were hard. I didn't know what to do with them. So I stuffed them all down. I just stuffed them down with food. And I was an overeater from a really young age. And I was a binger too. I used to get sick to my stomach on Sunday nights. On Sunday nights, I'd be up in the middle of the night. I've shared this, I think, before, but I'd be up in the middle of the night puking from overeating during the weekend. It was always on Sunday nights. Isn't that weird? And, in my recovery journey, I had to look at that. Like, now, why was I puking on Sunday nights? It's such a bizarre thing. And I had to get honest about the fact that it's because I ate so much on the weekends because I was with my family on the weekends. Like, I was distracted by school and friends and that kind of thing during the week. But on the weekends, it was me and my family. And that's when I had the hardest feelings. That's the truth. I had hard feelings as a kid. We all were super in pain. We were super in pain. And so I stuffed all weekend. I ate so much food. I ate donuts and pancakes and, candy, whatever. I'd ride my bike down to the candy store and get candy when I was old enough. So yeah, I would end up, I had a weak stomach, so I couldn't handle it. Popcorn, I had lots of butter. I'm your run of the mill emotional eater: ice cream, popcorn, cookies, sugar, carbs, fat. But by Sunday night, my stomach couldn't tolerate how much food I'd put in it. And for years I'd be up, not every Sunday night, but it was occasional and consistent, consistently, occasionally I would be up puking. And boy, oh boy, I know it's because I stuffed my way through a weekend. And so at a very young age, I believe I made the decision not to feel. And so I spent my entire childhood stuffing and into my adulthood. So that's what needed to be turned around, is I needed to learn how to feel. I had to learn how to embrace my emotions and find new tools for addressing those emotions. Because my toolkit was food, you guys. My toolkit for dealing with life was food. That was my number one. There are a few others: alcohol, obsession with boys, whatever else was going on, just obsession, period. But basically that was the way I lived. And so I needed I need to build a toolkit of how to cope with life without stuffing the emotions with food. And that's what I teach my clients to do. And it's vital. And that's why diets don't work, because if you go on a diet, you've done nothing to build your toolkit. You still don't have a toolkit. So you go on a diet, you feel great for a little while, and then it gets really hard, because it's like, how am I going to cope now? Food's my coping tool. So that's why we have to build that toolkit. So, I want to really invite you to see emotional eating for what it is, which is stuffing uncomfortable feelings, and to see boredom for what it is. And you let this seep in. If you don't buy it, that's okay. Just let it be there. You don't have to buy it. You don't have to buy everything I'm selling. I'm showing from my experience, which I've been around for a little while. So, I'm no spring chicken. So I'm talking over 30 years of experience, of researching emotional eating and healing, going through healing of my own problems with it. So boredom, being still and not having activity brings up uncomfortable feelings. And it doesn't have to be any particular feeling. It's just being uncomfortable with not doing. Okay. I believe that really what boredom is about for us, and why we end up eating during those times, snacking during those times. We also don't have new tools for what to do in downtime, new ways to, deal with feeling uncomfortable. But I invite you to start really thinking about expanding your container of feelings and getting curious about what it's like to just feel. And also knowing that feelings are just feelings, and they come and they go. They're very fluid. And as a kid, I really thought I would die if I felt strong feelings. That's what drove me to stuff all the time. And chances are you have a subconscious belief in the same way that if you didn't have your food, and all you had were feelings, it would crush you, it would overwhelm you. I mean, I used to be afraid that I'd be locked up if anybody heard what was going on in my mind. I had such crazy thoughts. I thought, boy, if anybody knew what I was thinking, whoa, they would lock me up, So it's not just feelings, but also thoughts. I was afraid of my thoughts. My thoughts were pretty crazy. And I thought they meant something, but they were just thoughts. Didn't mean I was crazy. I was at a very overactive mind. That's what emotional eaters do. Overeaters are overthinkers. We think things to death. So I was also trying to escape my mind when I would overeat. But I want you to consider that feelings won't kill you. To feel them will not crush you, will not overtake you. You will not end up in an insane asylum. You simply need to feel, deal, and heal. Now, it's easier to do that with support. Okay. So I'm not saying this is easy, and I invite you to get support for this. This journey of overcoming emotional eating can rarely happen on one's own. That's why my programs exist, is because I want people to go through this with support. That's why so much of what we do is in a group setting, because to hear that other people have crazy thoughts and are uncomfortable with their emotions and have crazy emotions, but are working through them, and we're cheering each other on through just acclimating to a bigger container of feelings. It's so much easier that way. But the point is to expand your container of feelings and realize that feelings won't crush you. And this month, when I've been alone and without my sweetie, I've had a lot of uncomfortable feelings. I've cried, some, not a lot, but some. I have remained busy. I had a lot to do, so that was helpful and distracting, but there's been downtime and alone time. And in those moments, I've had, feelings that were really uncomfortable. But if you don't eat over those feelings, you'll be forced to feel them. And then when you feel them, you'll realize, oh, they're just feelings and I'm not going to die from them. So they're not going to stay. I think a lot of times we think, if I feel this, I'll be stuck with it. If I acknowledge how I'm feeling, I'm going to be stuck with it. And it's just the opposite. If you feel it, you can move through it. If you stuff it, you're stuck with it. Okay, so feeling it is the quickest way to get through it and move on with your life. So I've been doing a lot of that lately. It's really pretty awesome. I'm grateful. I'm grateful. I'm grateful. Thank God that I haven't overeaten through any of this. I haven't used food in an unhealthy way. I've had yummy meals, and I've had meals with friends. I've had a nice opportunity to connect with friends lately, people I care about, with a little bit more time in my schedule. But boy, oh boy, feel, deal, and heal. That's really what overcoming emotional eating, is about in a very simplified way. And just realizing that feelings won't kill you, that we just need to be with it. Certainly pray about it, write about it, talk about it. That's my shorthand for healing. Write about it, talk about it, pray about it. My clients know that they're all too well. They've got that down. Write about it, talk about it, pray about it. But that's the way to move through it. And they do pass. Feelings are fluid. They don't mean anything. Thoughts are fluid. They don't mean anything. Don't get startled by your thoughts. Sometimes we have really wacky thoughts just to offload stress. If you're meditating and you have you're thinking about your shopping list, that's okay. That you're just offloading stress from the day. Don't get concerned. But get comfortable with being uncomfortable. If you stop overeating, you will be uncomfortable, because those feelings you were stuffing will definitely come up. But the goal is to learn how to acclimate to those feelings and let them wash over you and pass. Again, you got to have new tools. So you can't just sit there and suffer. You got to have tools for moving through them. But if you do, oh my God, how much stronger you'll be. It's very empowering to not be afraid of your feelings. It's awesome to know that whatever feeling you have, it's okay. It's not going to kill you. What's so cool about that is you stop living in fear. I have less fear than I've ever had in my life. I used to be such a scaredy cat. Everything startled me. Everything upset me. Everything tipped me over. And now I'm just not that afraid. Not that I'm unafraid. Of course, I am still afraid of things. But when you acclimate to a bigger container of feelings, any event is only as scary as the fear of the feelings we have around that event. So when I know that it's just feelings that I have to deal with, if somebody dies, that sucks. And that means there's a whole lot of feelings. Okay. But if I have a big container for feelings, it's okay. I can get through that. Not on my own, by the grace of God and with a whole lot of support. So I have a big support system, many amazing people in my life who would be there in a heartbeat for me if I needed them on account of a death that was rocking my world. So get community, make sure you have that community and that support system. But the bottom line is whatever comes my way, what it boils down to is strong feelings that I'm going to have to go through, or stuff. It's when you're an emotional eater, you either feel, deal, and heal, or you stuff. That's really what it boils down to. You medicate in some way. Maybe it's not food, maybe it's some other way of medicating your feelings, but medicate you will if you don't feel, deal, and heal. So I'm just here to kind of be a little knock on your consciousness and let you know that there's nothing that you can't go through if you're willing to feel the feelings through it, again, with support and new tools for moving through it. But that's all we're talking about is feelings. Boredom, just being uncomfortable with the quiet and the feelings that are bubbling up that we're usually distracting ourselves from. So I believe in you, and I know that you can do this. I know you can do this. It's easier to support. So please reach out if you want support to do this, but just know that, there's really nothing feelings. There's really nothing we can't overcome. There's really nothing we can't experience, and move through and have an experience of freedom of life. And we don't have to be driven by fear of our feelings anymore. Our life doesn't have to be dictated by avoiding feelings. And that's really what's happening so much of the time in our lives is we just spend our lives trying to avoid something that's uncomfortable. And we're not living our best life. We're not living the life we're meant to live because most of the time we're just skirting something that's uncomfortable. And so we're not saying yes to the things we really want. It's more like no to feelings. So anyway, I hope this is helpful. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thanks for commenting. I love you so much. I'm here for you. Life is an amazing journey. It's an amazing journey when we're willing to feel and when we're willing to, really overcome the things that we're afraid of. So I want that for you. Thank you so much for tuning in. Be sure to join us in the Quit Sugar Challenge. And please, if you listen to this as a podcast, please review and rate this. That would be a huge help. I would appreciate it. So sending you so much love.
If you enjoyed this podcast and want to get free support, insider health info, exclusive invites to events, and more, visit healyourhunger.com.